Motherhood is challenging and rewarding, and it's time we discuss the truth about motherhood, our own feelings and desires, why we mom shame, and how we can start standing together. Motherhood is a lifetime of different phases, all while we are expected to manage the weight of life. It's time for us moms to not only help each other by giving a hand, but push each other to explore ourselves on our deepest levels. Welcome to the Mom Still Standing podcast. I'm your mom friend and host, Danielle Lewis. Each week, we will chat with a beautiful mom who is navigating motherhood and life in a special way. My goal, moms, is for us to understand we are more alike than we are different and that we shouldn't mom alone. So join us as we celebrate and honor motherhood. Now go grab your favorite beverage and let's dive in. Hey, mom friends. Welcome back to the Mom Still Standing podcast. This is where moms connect, so you are in the right place. And today I'm welcoming to the show Shannon Parker. Shannon is a high energy, beautiful mom that has a really interesting story that I believe that all moms can really glean from. So welcome to the show, Shannon.
Thank you for having me.
So Shannon is a mom, obviously, and I'll let her tell us a little bit more about her children. And she's also a wife. She's a believer of Jesus. She's a working mom. She's a mompreneur. But one thing that she's very passionate about is helping women thrive in faith, food, and fitness. And so let's dive in, Shannon. So you're a mom of two children.
Yes, I am.
And how old are they?
My youngest, she's 5 years old, and my oldest is 8 years old.
Okay. And from our previous conversations, you were telling me that your transition from being a corporate workaholic to a motherhood was not very easy. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. And I want to say thank you so much for having me, and hello to your beautiful audience. Yeah, so I want to speak to the woman who might have felt thrusted into motherhood and wasn't quite prepared. For me, I was very much career oriented. I loved my work. I would say I was definitely a workaholic. I loved the grind. I loved the success, and I loved just the incentive to do my passion. And at that time, I was building a practice as a financial advisor in California, and I worked all the time. My husband would have to call me. He was like, "Hey, you coming home?" I was always in the office. I loved it. I still love finance. I especially loved it then. And so we waited 4 years before we had our first child. And when I had my son, it was a very smooth pregnancy, but everyone's story is different. I dealt with some fear, and I had to really, really rework how I was thinking about delivering and everything. I got a lot of fear around the delivery time frame. And probably most first-time moms do, but it was really a little too much. And so I had to really, even that was my first indication that this is something big. It was probably my body saying, okay, this is really happening. You're going to be giving birth to a child, and you're going to have to grow up as a grown-up and parent. But when I had my son, what I didn't realize is that my body it was a shock to my system. Physically, emotionally, not just the sleep deprivation, but just the demand of caring for this beautiful new baby. And being so far away from family was a stressful experience for me to transition to. And also, I didn't have that natural motherly instinct. I feel like there's some women who, from birth, they're just little mamas, and they always have envisioned, carrying children and caring for children. I wasn't that type of.
So you weren't the mom playing with your dollhouse, with your babies and the bottles?
No, I mean, I did play with dolls. I was a Barbie girl, so I was like career Barbie. I didn't do a lot of the, baby dolls that you carry and, care for. I'm not sure why. But anyways, I don't know. But I just know for me, it was a huge transition. And I can't say anyone, not that it was their responsibility, but no one really prepared me for it. Also, I gained a lot of weight afterwards. So I didn't gain a lot of weight during, but I gained a lot of weight afterwards. And as you know, as a woman, you're already going through transition. Mm-hmm. And so when your body becomes something that you're not comfortable with, I felt insecure about, I didn't really understand what was going on. I was so tired. I was a shell of myself. That it was a very difficult transition for me, a very difficult experience. And as grateful as I am for it, it was not easy for me. And so I think that's important just to, for your audience, because sometimes you feel the pressure that you should know and that you should have it all together because you're a woman, you should know and like what it takes and you should be totally grateful and it should be a smooth transition, but it just wasn't. What happened for me was that I ended up triggering hypothyroidism as a postpartum experience, and everyone's body body is different. I think that it's taught me a lot about compassion towards women, you know, especially as our weight fluctuates. Like, you just never know a person's story. So it's important that we lead with kindness, because it's an isolating place when you're breastfeeding and you're taking care of your baby and you're really by yourself. And again, for us, we didn't have a family support system. It was just us. So it was something that I didn't realize how much trauma physically, you know, birthing a baby, but then also adjusting my hormonal balance in my body and aligning it. And I really did not figure it out. It probably took me my second baby to realize that giving birth shocks my system. I've dealt with so many health challenges that have come out of the blessing of childbearing, but it's been something that I've had to figure out, you know, in the path that God has given me. It's a part of my story.
So I want to touch on a couple of different things. So you mentioned fear with childbirth. So what exactly were you fearful of? What was coming up for you?
Well, at the time, I was reading a lot of books. And this is where I think it can be something where you don't want to be wise in your own eyes. Like, I really thought at that point I wasn't a mom yet. So I just thought my mom couldn't relate. You know, she had babies back then. I was young. Okay. Now I'm like, what was I thinking? I felt like, oh, I need to go look for the latest knowledge. I need to go look at the latest science. And I was wise in my own eyes. And it was to an error, because I didn't tell anyone that we were pregnant until I hit the 12-week mark. It was so much pressure. I had so much fear that I was going to lose my baby. And I dealt with breakthrough bleeding, spotting throughout the entire pregnancy. So at that point, when you would go on like WebMD and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I mean, it would just bring so much fear, because you just look at all the potential things that could be happening, and it just sowed seeds of fear in my mind. And reading certain books, it was like What to Expect When You're Expecting. That was not a helpful book for me, but it might be for somebody else. I just was prone to and believing more of the negative. And I literally carried a fear almost the entire pregnancy. And it wasn't until I was in the delivery room and my mother was in there and she really began to pray for me in the delivery room. And I was like, okay, I feel the power. But it came like at the 11th hour of it all. And so it was something I really had to nag it through. And that's why even for me, when I see a pregnant woman, I don't think it's a good thing as moms to tell like your horror stories, you know, of your delivery. It's like, you know what? She's carrying a baby. It's already a lot to carry emotionally. Let's give her let's give her the positive. Let's speak life so that she can hold on to that. It is already a lot that you're dealing with and trying to make sure everything's okay for you and your baby. So that's what I dealt with.
So, yeah, okay. And I read What to Expect When Expecting. And the reality is all of our pregnancy and childbirth experiences are different, just because we're all made up physically and emotionally and mentally different. And I get the whole seeing a pregnant woman and not telling her like the truth. But I kind of feel some kind of way about that, because I felt like nobody told me either what to expect. Mm-hmm. And so I really was devastated in the delivery room with my first child, because nobody told me I was going to experience pain like that. Like, no one mentioned that. And like, I'm still salty to this day about, like, you know, I don't tell women off the street, but if it's someone in my circle, I'm like, oh girl, this is going to hurt. Like, this is going to be the worst pain of your life.
And I think that is good. I agree with you. I think that, you know, giving truth with love, I think that we can always spin it, you know, like it's painful, but it's doable. Like for the most part, it really is. Like between having the support of the doctors or deciding if you do epidural or don't do epidural, like you can do it. I think that I felt overwhelmingly inadequate, you know, and I felt overwhelmingly afraid of the whole experience. So I definitely think it's good to share openly and honestly, but like just in it with a little bit of hope. Sometimes you're like, oh my God.
Girl, it's going to hurt. But if you get an epidural, or maybe if you go to those classes beforehand, it ain't going to hurt too much for you. I don't know. Do some squats or something. I don't know what you need to do. So another thing I wanted to touch on is, I know when we first talked, you're the one that really helped me to understand what a huge shock it is to our system to actually carry a child. I had never heard anyone put it like that. I don't even think any of the doctors mentioned anything like your body's going to go through all of it. Like, I remember my feet swelling up, like, and I just thought that was the most rudest thing to happen. Like, what is happening? Like, and then after my pregnancy, it's like my shoe size went up. Well, nobody told me. And I was, what? Why am I size 9 when I'm really a size 8.5? I mean, I know it's only a half a size, but I'm just saying, why did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like it's a shock, and nobody, even the doctors, are not really informing you. But as you can see, your body, I mean, probably all of our bodies, but your body really went through some transformations, which in the end, like you said, it was kind of good that all that happened. But so how do we inform women about the changes that our physical body really goes through? Is there a way that you think that we really can prepare them for that? Or is it just an awareness?
I think meeting people where they are and showing up in love really goes a long way. It's super isolating after you give birth to your baby because you are super tired. There's so much that's needed. And you still, in a sense, have to take care of life and run a household and take care of more than yourself. And if you have a spouse, if you have other children, the demand doesn't stop. And so I think that a way that we can do it is like show up for someone who's recently had a child and just love on them, and see what they need. Ask them how they're feeling, and check in because everyone's journey, to your point, is so different. And you just being a good friend, you can pray for them, you can encourage them, or if you sense they're dealing with postpartum depression, you can get them to the right resources. I think that we shouldn't have to do life alone in the sense of having to figure it out or being isolated by the shock of it all. But it is. I mean, I think part of your podcast is such an informative tool for women because this in itself is a way that women can equip themselves or be more aware or encourage another friend who is preparing to give birth. But it is a lot of trauma. I mean, to me, and really scientifically to our bodies, to the miracle of childbirth. And it takes some time for us to realign our bodies. It can take years, and I'm still learning. But I think that what I do appreciate about pregnancy is that the whole experience made me much more aware of my body. And instead of me just ignoring things, I had learned how to have an inner ear to just get a sense of what's occurring. And it empowered me to start saying, oh, this feels different, or this is good. And I think that I never had that body awareness until pregnancy and childbirth. So I think to answer your question, it's being a friend, being there. You don't have to be best friends. It could be like, one time where you stop and give a hug or just check in and send a text. It's such a great way that no matter what our bodies are feeling in the healing process, which is crazy, you know what I mean? The pads that are thick and that you have to wear the underwear that's all one big pad.
Girl.
All of that's real, but just so they know they're not alone and that you walked in those same steps and there's hope on the other side. They will feel better. You're going to heal. All of it will come back together. It's going to take time, but being aware of your body in the process so you know how to help you need, I think so important.
Yeah, I agree. And I also agree that it can be very isolating because you think about the joy a newborn brings to families and everybody's always calling like, how's the baby? How's the baby? How's the baby? But like very few people ask how you are doing.
This is so true.
And it's so not funny. And I'm saying that after the fact, realizing and reading blogs and just seeing certain articles and posts on social media is that a lot of times moms, especially new moms, feel like nobody cares because it's always how's the baby. So I do think you make a great point about checking in with mom, seeing where she is emotionally and mentally. What does she need help with? Just showing up, like you said, acts of kindness go a long way. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that because motherhood period can feel isolating at times and we can feel like we're alone. And so I'm glad here at the Mom Still Standing podcast, it's important for us to bring awareness that moms should not mom alone.
Oh, I love that.
So you mentioned that, well, you didn't mention that yet, but you told me that you also had to have an emergency gallbladder surgery 3 months after your son?
My daughter, my second birth.
Okay. So I can't imagine your body going through all of this and now it's like your body is now reacting negatively because of an organ in your body. So what was that like?
It was unreal in a sense because at this point I had just given birth to my daughter. So 3 months later, I had a gallbladder attack. I actually had a gallbladder attack a year prior. I didn't know and I was misdiagnosed. And so this is why I am a huge encourager of you being your greatest health advocate and utilizing your resources, but knowing you're the one who leads it. Like you are the pilot, the doctors are the wings. They're there to help you. They help you get to that place of destination when it comes to your health. But for me, it was awful. So after I had my son, as I said earlier, I didn't even realize I was dealing with hypothyroidism until after I had my daughter. And that's because my symptoms were very similar to new mom symptoms, right? Being tired is very common when you're a new mom. Hair shedding, you're like, oh, that's new mom life. So memory fog, or they call it mommy brain, or, so there's so many symptoms I dealt with that I dissociated with new motherhood. But with my hair thinning, it wasn't just shedding, it was like really falling out, thinning. I was so sleep deprived. And we had a huge critical move of going from the West Coast and moving back to the East Coast. I just pushed through it. I just did life to just survive. And by the time I had my second child, my daughter, my body was probably like, I'm done. Like, this is just too much.
I give up.
Exactly. It just revolted against me. It was like, I can do no more. Like, what do I have to do to get your attention here? So yes, after I had my daughter, 3 months later, I had an emergency gallbladder surgery because I had a huge gallbladder attack. And if you know anyone who's dealt with it, or if you've dealt with it, it's as if someone is stabbing you in your abdomen. The first time around, I thought I was maybe, I thought I was losing a baby. I didn't know what was going on because we were trying to get pregnant. So I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But it felt so painful. So this time around, I was seen and I got a proper diagnosis. And at this time, mine 4 times its size, it could explode at any time. They were very concerned. It was highly infected. They had to remove it. So at that point, I felt really out of sorts of my body because I was still, in a way, healing from, vaginal delivery. I was still adjusting to now having 2 children, family of 4, and I was out of sorts. I was trying to come to myself, but I was so out of touch with like what should be. So that was very difficult. I couldn't hold her for 6 weeks because I had to heal. It was just a lot. It was compounding a lot. I didn't know then I was in a spiral where my body was really literally breaking down. At the time after I had her, I went ahead and got an IUD so that I could have some way of preventing, of course, having more children. And I decided to do the Paragard one versus the Mirena because I wanted to still have my menstrual cycle. I thought that would be good. For me, I think having that copper there, I probably dealt with some toxicity, metal toxicity, because I have now self-dosed every stage of my all postpartum life. And anyway, I was in a spiral. My body broke down. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't eat a green smoothie. I couldn't eat a burger. I couldn't eat anything in between. I would bloat. My stomach would bloat as if I was pregnant, like maybe 3 months pregnant. That's how big it would get. I was bone tired. I can't fully explain, but I was so deeply exhausted. And like I said, my hair would just, even combing my hair would just break in my fingers. And it was a very scary for me because I was still trying to catch up to the demand of another child, but then I didn't have the time. I didn't feel I had the time to focus on me. So I felt that something was off, but I didn't make time for it. And I felt like this is weird. I felt like I was in a dark zone. Yeah. So I was say that was really difficult for me. And after that, I had to see a doctor, and she's the one who told me I had hypothyroidism. And then a year later, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And Hashimoto's is when your body attacks the thyroid. So I was under so much stress of life, and I neglected, really listening to my body for so many years, and I didn't eat well. So usually when you're dealing with an autoimmune condition just means your body is attacking itself in some shape or form. And so there's so many of them, but there's different organs your body may attack. And what happens is that your body is thinking that it's dealing with a foreign object. And typically the cause of an autoimmune condition is what they call leaky gut. You might have heard of leaky gut or gut permeability. And so it's when your gut lining is so aggravated, it's usually very tight, but it becomes aggravated with food and the choices that we're eating, our diet and stress and toxicity, that it begins to loosen. And then you have your food that should be absorbed in the gut lining begins to go through your bloodstream, and it's not supposed to go there. So your body's attacking it like this is foreign. And so then it starts to overdrive, and it can just choose where to attack. And so for me, it was my thyroid. And at that point, I really was very, very broken. I felt so alone. I felt even distant from God because I didn't know why my body was going through what it was going through. And so I'm grateful for it because I was in such a place of brokenness that it pushed me, pushed me to pray. It pushed me to really focus on myself. It pushed me when you're at a desperate point in your health, it'll make you go further and go harder for what's really priority. And I had to take care of myself. I really did. And so thankfully I did. I studied. God showed me what to do. He showed me scriptures. He showed me scientific research. And I have seen now my body literally reverse almost all symptoms of the diseases and the challenges that I've walked through. So I'm grateful for the hope on the other side, but it's certainly a journey that started with the beauty of childbirth, but I'm grateful for it all.
So, okay, that was a lot. So yeah, I guess what I want to know is because like you said, some of those symptoms you had did mimic just the effects of childbirth. But I guess because your system was so aggravated, your body just started going through this, like you said, downward spiral to the point where I know one of the things you said was like you felt like all of this happened because God was trying to get your attention so that you could get inner focused. Mm-hmm. And so I guess what I'm asking is how I can just imagine a woman going through this and just being so confused and then just going down the spiral and that's it. So how did you shift? I mean, I know you're a believer.
Yeah.
And
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I know you're a believer and we're taught to pray, But how did you make the shift to like, you know what? I think I need to really get involved in this process. Sometimes I believe that as believers, we're just like, oh, we're just going to pray and just wait for God to answer us. And sometimes that is the appropriate action. Other times we need to get involved in the process. Yeah. And so I'm wondering what shifted for you to realize, you know, I really need to get involved in this process and take action.
Yeah, I had to be comfortable being vulnerable. And I think it's powerful and necessary to pray, but it's also but in addition, you have to let someone know. And so for me, I would leave my doctor's office in tears. It was always so negative, all the numbers, and it's not their fault. They were just reading the facts, if you will. But like my mother says, you know, faith and truth supersedes that. And so I had to get very vulnerable. And, you know, I remember calling my mom and just weeping and her just speaking life and hope to me. And that was probably the first inkling of light to shine through in a very dark and isolating place. And so I'm grateful for her, but it took me being willing to be vulnerable and open with what I was navigating. And you know, I was going to doctor's appointments, but she didn't know the full, like what I was getting in the reports and what I was supposed to do. And that I would say is important. So for any woman who you feel like you are trying to understand what's happening in your mind or your body or all of it, I think it's important to have the courage to let someone that you feel who cares for you and who is a good person, let them know so they can pray for you, so they can encourage you and they can connect you, you know, to the right resources. And so that, I don't know, was the first time I felt empowered in the process, just talking to her and knowing, okay, I don't have to just give up. I don't have to curse God and die because Hashimoto's is considered a chronic illness, one that you will never, for the purposes of modern medicine, ever get over.
I think so one other thing is that not just that, is that a part of you didn't want to accept the diagnosis.
Yes, I have to say that. But it took a minute because at that time in my life, Danielle, I felt like the doctors were almost like gods, like whatever they said it is, you know, and they know more than me. And I really put them on a point and and I respect them greatly, but I had an unbalanced view of their role in my health. And so, yeah, I think that at first I just assumed, but when it was so damaging to my psychological health to always have a negative diagnosis and no hope really in those conversations, I had to choose for myself to believe God. And at that point, I decided not to accept it, that I could experience, you know, help on the other side.
So choosing to believe God, and did you choose to believe that God would heal you?
Yes, I think that one of the challenges is that we sometimes see healing as in the future. Like, I know God's going to heal me. I had to choose to believe God is healing me now. I had to take it from the future to apply it to at this very moment. I think that was a difference for me, that I decided that I am healed now. Even before I fully felt it, saw or knew how to get to it, I had to accept it in the current place that I was in. And then I began to see it really fully manifest and show up.
So what did you do differently at that point?
That belief side is real. I think that's why the first focus and pillar in my business is faith, because I think that it's a decision, it's an action, it's a deciding, it's a full reliance on God, catapulted with action, you know, like that faith without works being dead. It's really a powerful mindset shift. And so for me, that belief deciding was almost like I was like, enough is enough. So it was like, I became tired of my own sad story. Really. And I became weary of being weary, you know, and I was just done with the defeat. I felt very defeated for a long time, probably at least 2 years. And so it wasn't serving anyone at that point. And I just needed to really believe God to be God. And I was at the end of myself.
So how did that look when it came to your medical team, though? Like, did you just go in one day and was like, you know what, I'm not taking any of this medicine. I'm just believing God. I'm healed now.
That's a great point. I'm so glad you said that, because I do believe in balance. So even now I take a very low dosage of my thyroid medication. I'm not someone one who's like, let's burn the medication and let's burn them. I believe God created everything. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. I feel like He's all to serve us. And that's why I think we should have a heart to serve others, because we're part of God's plan. But no, I would go into the doctor's office and I would study so much, they would almost have nothing to say. It was like, oh yeah. Like I came in with my questions. I asked about very specific, medications or new science. I came in because, I don't know how it is in every city, but where we are, you get like a 10-minute time. Like your doctor's like in and out. Like you're like, wait, what question? I had it, but it's gone, Right. I would write down my questions. I would study. I would read books, and I would go in there like boom, 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 boom. It wouldn't take long, but I would get what I needed, and I began to put together, in a sense, my own health plan. They would manage the medication side and my blood work, but I would be the one who would manage how I feel. And I'm the one who decided to change my diet, and I'm the one who decided that I am my greatest advocate. And so that's what I carry over to every woman that I work with and that I coach. As I was saying earlier, you're the pilot and your medical professionals are the wings, and they'll help you get there. But you're the one who's in tune with your body, and you're the one who's responsible, in a sense, to do what's very best, whether it's a naturopath plus, an allergist plus, use them all, chiropractor. They are they're your board of advisors, but ultimately you're the chairman of the board. And so it's you who it comes down to your choices. So I really am now more empowered. Even in my decision, it was a journey to that point, but I'm grateful for them. And I'm grateful for modern medicine and natural medicine, ancient, Eastern medicine. I appreciate it all. I use whatever it takes so that I can get to a greater place of health.
So I applaud you for recognizing that you are your biggest advocate and for really taking ownership of your health, because I feel like a lot of times you're absolutely right. A lot of people do believe that the doctor is quote unquote God. Like the doctor said, I got to take this, I got to take it, and that's the end of the story. And it's not. I have been prescribed medicines over the years, and I never take that stuff. They'll prescribe it, and I have a great relationship with my doctor, which I think is also very important for us to realize as women, is we need to find physicians that we trust, that we have, a good connection with, that we feel that we can communicate with, because they are playing a part in your health, like you said. And so if you have a doctor that you feel like is always rushing you, or they don't communicate, or they're not listening to you, then that's not a good situation. So I want to point that out too. But my doctor already knows. I'm like, you already know I'm not taking this. She's like, I'm going to send it in anyway. I'm like, okay. And then I will go and I'll research it. And that's a trigger from something else from my mother who passed away. And I was left holding a bag of medicine. And I was like, I will never take medicine again. And so that definitely is a trigger. I'm aware of that. But for the most part, I pay attention to my body and I do a lot of research too. And so it's worked for me. I don't have any health problems, thank God. So I can do that. Don't y'all go and start throwing away medicine. Right.
Everybody's body is different.
Everybody's body is different. I'm just talking about me. I don't have any health problems.
Graced. Yeah, you're so graced, and you're right. That's powerful. And there are women who they can do that. I think listening to you, like you said, listen to your body.
So I think just being a partner in your healthcare with your healthcare provider, it's sort of like your child in school. You are a partner. You are their advocate, but you're a partner with the teachers and the administration. Your role is just as important as the teachers and the administration. And so now this kind of translates to you becoming a mompreneur and really, you said, having the desire to help women thrive in faith, food, and fitness. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. So it was interesting because one of the challenges when you are dealing with any thyroid condition is that your thyroid is responsible for the function of your hormones. Your thyroid manages your hormones. And so when you are dealing with a challenge like hypothyroidism, or even hyper, you are going to see it show up in your body weight. Okay. And so for me, I didn't understand why I had unexplainable weight gain all the time that I could not get rid of. And I was going to the gym and I was trying everything, and it doesn't feel good on your joints. It doesn't feel good in your clothes. It doesn't feel good overall. And so really it probably worked out as something vain. I was like, I want to feel myself again. I want to lose weight. I want to be cuter. I'm ready to get my hips again. Okay. But really I wanted to feel alive again. My energy was so low. So it wasn't until I made the commitment to be consistent and working out, overhauled my diet. I did probably what very few people would do unless you're desperate. And I was desperate to heal feel. And so I did an elimination diet where I didn't eat so many things. I mean, even healthy things and healthy vegetables. I did something called the autoimmune protocol. And so you don't eat eggplant, tomatoes, among everything else, of course, like no sugar and no dairy and all those things. I had to figure out what was going on in my body. Now you can do testing. You can do all sorts of gut testing and you can pay for those things. But at the time, I was just trying to figure it out. But in that process, I understood how powerful food is. And I began to figure out what it takes to realign my body. And I just began to share my journey. And that's really how I started in my pathway as a health and lifestyle coach. I just shared my journey and I was open to the fact that it's a journey and I invited others to join me in it. Now I love it because I get to coach women, encourage women. And so in my work, I have several different parts of my heart. But as a mompreneur, I love working with women and giving women hope. And I work with all different demographics, which is really exciting. Not really teens, unless I'm just mentoring them, of course, because you're already going through things. But as far as adult women, I have women who are over 50. I have women who are in their 40s and their 30s and their mid to late 20s. And that's been exciting because every stage is different. And I feel like to see my approach help them gives me hope and encouragement as well. So we overhaul our nutrition and we overhaul our daily movement. We get it done.
So what's a day in the life of Shannon like with your new lifestyle changes?
Now I don't know. I love it. So for me, every day is like a fresh start. You know how people get excited for the new year? Like, oh, new year resolutions. I feel like that every single day because I feel like God literally pulled me out of the miry clay. Like I feel like I was at a point of death in the sense of how I felt like the Walking Dead. So I don't say that lightly. I really did. I didn't feel fully alive. I felt awful. So now that God has given me life and health again, gosh, every day I'm grateful. But usually what I do is I dedicate my first 15 minutes in the morning to God. It's the challenge I do with my squad who I coach each month. I probably coach about 20 women, maybe 20, 24 or so. It depends. Every month I give them structure and I live what I give them. So I dedicate my first 15 minutes to God and have quiet time. I work out. I work in partnership with Beachbody and we stream our fitness so that even when I travel for business or I travel for pleasure, I still get my workout in. I love that. And then we have a fitness plan. So we all do the same workout every single day of our fitness plan, wherever we are. It doesn't matter when you fit it in, just get it in kind of thing. I usually do that in the morning. I think that your morning is your miracle. And so I get that done in the morning. And then from there, I wake up and I get the kids rolling. So I usually get up at 6, I work out at 7, get the kids up and ready around 7:30. And then it's on from there. That's where the busyness comes in. I'm all mom, at that point. And then I also work in ministry. So I go into the office. I usually have my blended breakfast. I grab my smoothie. I live a life on the go like most of your audience. We're all super busy. I just decided that I have to make it something sustainable. So I eat very simply, but it's sustainable. And that way I'm eating really good food for me, but I make it so that it's convenient. So I pack my lunch mostly. I pack my snack. I enjoy, working hard in the office. I enjoy serving in ministry. And then when I come home, it's like family time. So I usually leave the office at 4 and take care of, I start right away in dinner. I just throw on my apron, wash my hands, and go for dinner, prep out that dinner so we can eat at home. I just love that experience of kids helping me in the kitchen, putting on some fun music. I have my own playlist in the kitchen. I want it to be fun. It's hard work. We know. I want it to be fun. And I want my home to smell of just like good food. And when my husband comes home, we dive in and we eat. The greatest challenge for me is the cleanup. Like I can cook all day. Please don't let me have to clean up the dishes because I cook a lot from Whole Foods. So it's like from scratch. I'm like, Jesus. The hardest part for me is the cleanup. Oh my goodness. So that's the challenge. Whenever I see that, I'm like, let me just leave out of here and then come back and deal with this. But I'm trying to get my kids down to being able to participate more, not to deprive. Of course, my son, like everybody's on this train. It takes a lot to run a household, Yes. And it takes a lot just to try to do what you feel is priority between homework and all the things. And I think for me, I try to block off my time so I can take care of myself. Like my time in the morning is my self-care hour between quiet time, working out, and then it's okay. The rest, I'm giving myself away. That's why I'm trying to pour from a full cup because it's all about the family and the kids and, and ministry and everything else. And then I come back home, back to family. And then at night, I get to close it all out and have some quiet time. But yeah, it's pretty busy. I'm sure all of us can relate. It is nonstop, which is why I make it a priority to work out in the morning. Like that's my MO. It's my stress reliever. It gives me clarity of mind. I don't know what I would do without it. I'd probably go crazy.
So in your mastermind for these women, women, do you all share? Are you all sharing on that level? Like what your days look like, what you're eating, how much you exercise? Okay.
Absolutely.
So there's accountability.
And I think that's the difference, right? Because like I love like the commercials for the Peloton and all that kind of stuff. And I would love one down the line. But I think also community, right? Like I think we're so busy that our schedules prevent us from connecting. And so when you have accountability, I call it my sisterhood accountability. It's like, someone's waiting for you to have your post-workout. I call it your sweat glow. Like we're waiting for you. Like where you at? Like you're in this group. We're looking for each other to show up. It encourages us when you don't feel like it. Because I always say that motivation runs out about the third day of the event. And you're like, I'm just not going to get up. If you know you invested in it, number one, you put your money where your mouth is. You're going to show up. And then we're waiting for each other. And we really do get to know each other. We pray. We usually share if there's prayer requests. And then we share our food before you take a bite to eat. You're taking a picture of your food, which you think twice before eating whatever you're going to eat, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, I got to show what I'm eating. So it just makes it so much more authentic. And for me, I can help women. So even if they're new, I can help them tweak it. Like, hey, this is how you can make a healthy swap. So it's doable. It's not overwhelming. But yes, we're checking in every day. We have a private app and we put in our water and our food and, our workouts. And that's how we seek success. And that's how we encourage each other. So when I say I love the women that I get to do life with, I love it. And we're all over, all over the country. But like we have a bond because we're committed to our self-care,
So what happens if someone is just having one of those days and they're like, those Chick-fil-A fries and that Chick-fil-A chocolate chip cookie would really be good? I mean, are they encouraged to still be transparent about where they are?
Yes. Okay. So for me, like I said, I'm like, this is lifestyle. This is not jail. Okay. So you should feel comfortable if I am working with you and you know how to eat. If you're eating clean and green 90% of the time, you should feel totally comfortable if you have just either a craving or you're at, you didn't prepare or you're at someone's party or you just want it to eat it because it's something that it's like, this is not your everyday. And so I make it something that it's okay to have something that's more indulgent because you're eating so well most of the time. You're cooking at home, you're making your life so that you can enjoy those times. They're not going to take you down. And even if you're like, oh my God, that was like way over the top, it's okay because we work hard. Our workouts are so intense that you don't even want to when you see that you burn like only 350 calories and you're like, that burger was like 1,500 or something crazy. I'm throwing that out. It's something that makes you think twice. You work so hard that you don't want to sabotage your success. But this is real life. And so we understand like this is what we do. So we do post it. I post it. Like my thing is I love chips. I love French fries. That's why I have to like really get that out of my kitchen or out of my mind because I will eat it. It's real life. But yeah, it's one of those things where I want a woman to fully show up as herself and be able to be in a place where she's still able to know either what to do or how to overcome it. And that way she's able to sustain positive habits. And sometimes it's deep dives. Okay, is there something emotional? Is there a trigger that you're dealing with and which we all deal with, right? Something stressful happened. Okay, give yourself permission, process that and enjoy the Chick-fil-A, and don't beat yourself up for that because we have a brand new day and we know how to pull it together and we will. This is why we have the challenge experiences. I think it's nice because it's not to the point where you can't live the life. My goal for every woman is that make this your lifestyle. You can do it. It is doable. Like childbirth, right? It's hard.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. Great example. So is this mastermind like for a certain number of weeks or is just ongoing? Like, how does that work?
So once you enroll in the sisterhood, I will always invite you to any new challenges. And when I do a challenge, it's a very specific period. So it's a start and a stop so that we have clear, measurements to begin with and to compare with. And I like that. It's not like, all the days of my life, but there's breaks in it, but there's always something new coming down the line.
Is there a challenge going on now?
There is. So we are currently doing the Glow Up, which is based on a fitness program called BAR. I don't know if you are familiar with BAR, but BAR is a technique of exercise that blends ballet with Pilates. So it's a lot of anaerobic abdominal work, and it's hard. It's really beautiful, like you look dancer-like, but there are these small movements of repetition, so you're only holding like a 1 to 3 pound weight, but you're like, if I do this move again, my arm is going to fall off. And I love that because you're tearing those muscle fibers. So it's really designed for toning and fine. And so, yes, we're currently, so it's a 8-week challenge, 60 days, 8 weeks, whatever makes you feel more motivated. And so today is our very first day. We just started. It's been so good. The ladies are ready. I actually had them all do a vision board. I wish I brought mine. I know that we're on a, podcast, but yeah, we all did vision boards and we said, okay, what is our goal? Like, who will you be in 60 days from now? Like, what is it that you want to experience and feel and achieve? Like, let's make that a visual so that we're clear on how we're shifting over the next 2 months into this new decade. So we just started now and we're all pumped. We're all excited. It's hard work, but we're here for it.
Yay. And so do you also share recipes? Because I know on Instagram, you share recipes, you share your workouts. You're very transparent about your journey, which is great because we get to see your results.
Thank you. Yes, I do. I share on my website. I have lots of recipes on my website. I also have recipes that I share on my Instagram because it's like, I'm not even trying to go to a website. You just want to like, tell me now.
Exactly.
So often on my stories, I open my kitchen and I just share, this is what I'm cooking for dinner because I find it's such a cost-saving thing to cook at home. It's empowering. It just is a habit change. It's just adjusting yourself and knowing that even though it's busy, you can structure your mind and take the couple of minutes to plan out your dinner. One of the things I tell my squad is like, even if you're in the parking lot at the grocery store, take 2 minutes to write down what's your plan for dinner for the week. Just take 2 minutes. And it's those little tweaks and just give you like the little nuggets that make this something that, I can do that. Okay. So that I'm not going there like, what am I going to eat? Right. It just gives you a little bit more focus so that you're planning out your week with some intention. So recipes are a big part of my heart. I love nutrition. I'm actually launching my 4 weeks to nourish. It starts in February. And that course is all about eating to heal. And I go live. So it's live. Although the course is yours because I already have things for you, resources in the book. But I also do class sessions every Monday. And I teach people how to eat. I teach how to experience just healing in your body, what I've had to learn in my own journey. And then we all connect. I go live in a private Facebook group and we are in the kitchen, all of us chopping our vegetables. We're just talking and we're connecting. And I provide a weekly meal plan every week of our 4 weeks. I outline breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The dinners are where we connect in our kitchens and we make it happen. And so it's something like I don't like to do life alone, but when we're overhauling our diet, when we're learning how to eat for optimal health, it is an overhaul and it's worth investing in that process so that you're not dealing with preventative diseases or having them go to the point that I did, where you're just really at a chronic level of illness. So my goal is to see every woman reverse that or not even experience it. You're just empowering them to make changes in their home, in their diet, in their choices, in what they eat. They can live a life that's vibrant. That's important to me. And I think it's necessary as moms.
Absolutely. So, wow, you shared a lot. So how can our mom audience connect with you further?
Yes. So you can follow me at Forever Finesse on Instagram and social media. Finesse is actually my middle name. So that's Forever, FINESSE. And then also my website is shannonparker.org. But I would be happy to connect. And I hope that you're inspired and encouraged that you're not alone. There's hope and so many good resources for you to do this. You can connect. I'd love to connect.
Yeah, you got me all enthusiastic about faith, food, and fitness.
Yay!
And, but on a serious note, all three of them really do go together. Like, I feel like everything that you said was just a culmination of that faith, food, and fitness, and ultimately God's healing and how if we trust him, if we put those things before him that we can't do in our own, how we become a partner with him for our own healing and for our own blessings. And so I'm just so grateful for your transparency, for opening up, not just here on the podcast, but even just on social media. We have physically seen your body change. Girl, you look good.
Hallelujah, go God.
But not only that, I've always felt like you've been very enthusiastic and very energetic, but I think now it's on like a whole nother level, and I think because you're not carrying the weight, the emotional weight, the mental weight, and you feel good in your body. And so why wouldn't women want to sign up to be in the mastermind?
Thank you.
So I just thank you. You are definitely a mom that's still standing. Thank you for being a part of the Mom Still Standing podcast. And do you have any last minute tips tips or encouragement that you want to share with our mom friends?
Well, again, I just want to say thank you so much, Danielle, for just allowing me to speak to your mom friends and your audience. I just want the resounding message to be that there's hope. You're worthy of the process of healing and experience all that God has for you. And start where you are. And the final thing that I want to say is to speak positively to yourself and love your body throughout the entire process. Because regardless of if you're dealing with the illness or not, your body's working as hard as it can. And I think that if we can stay true to that, like loving ourselves, it helps us go that much further. So thanks again for having me. I'm just truly honored to be on your podcast.
Oh, and thank you for that beautiful piece of encouragement. All right, mom friends, thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next time on the next episode of the Mom Still Standing podcast. Peace. Thank you, moms, for tuning into this week's episode of the Mom Still Standing podcast. Make sure you head over to iTunes and subscribe. If you found this episode to be informative and encouraging, please write a review so that we can continue to empower moms everywhere. In the meantime, remember, connected moms don't mom alone.